All right, can we get a roll call of the directors so that we know we are at quorum?
Yeah, we do have all directors present. Scott from Joanne, Brian Groupon, Todd from IBM, Charlie in for Ashley as proxy, William from the individual membership, Rich from Red Hat, Mark from Intel, and Gara from Microsoft. On the Linux Foundation side, Mark Hinkle, Todd Benzies, Tracy Hines, Zibby Keaton, Greg Wallace, and I'm assuming Cheryl Chamberlain and Mike Dolan are still in the room?
Cheryl has left, and,
okay.
And Mike will be leaving soon. We also have as guests Dan Shaw and Sarah Novotny from Google.
Great, thank you. We are at quorum then to move forward.
All right. Let me just see if we can get that on the screen. All right, would you like to call the meeting to order, Mr. Chair?
Can we call the meeting to order of the public meeting of Node.js members? Right now.
Yes, thank you. So I understand that the resolution of the screen for the YouTube broadcast is much smaller than, or much larger YouTube can take. So I'm going to just try and redo the displays quickly. That's probably as low as we can go. All right. Please take note of the antitrust compliance notice furnished as part of the board package. How does it look now? It's still not fitting, is it?
No, I'm trying to work on it on my end. I'm sorry.
All right. We apologize to those on the YouTube broadcast, but we will work on it. All right. So today we have Greg Wallace, who is a member of the marketing committee, and he is going to tell us about the Node.js Foundation website. So I guess we just start with you, Greg.
Yeah, do you want to let me share my screen and I can show everybody?
Yeah, go ahead. You should be able to do it.
All right. You probably have to share.
I do not see stuff. Do you have the ability to stop the sharing, Tracy?
Okay, just take a picture of your app. Before you go in, make sure you get your browser open. Good. Good. Click on it first.
There we go.
There you go.
Okay, there you go.
Where is it? I just went to. Okay, well, here we go. I'll just click here. So, the idea here is that we want to be able to make sure that we can communicate all the things that we're working on, and with a significant communications marketing team, all of whom work across multiple projects here at the Linux Foundation and are all familiar with a particular style of WordPress website. It just, for us to be able to keep up with all of the things and be able to really put as much marketing muscle behind everything, we felt it was a good time for us to just take that foundation section of Node.js.org and bring that over to a WordPress instance. So what you're seeing here, and it's better on my computer than it does up there, is the draft. And so obviously the number one thing that we're all gearing up for right now is Node Interactive, and so we're making that the highlight at the top with the YouTube video of the highlights from last year, top 3 reasons to attend, call to action. We've got a little bit more information down here about the Node Foundation, and then we've got the Node Foundation, or Node really in numbers. So it's a nice template, honestly. I use this on some other projects, and I think it's great. We have our newsletter sign up at the bottom. In About, we have leadership, we have members, and join. I'm still working on leadership with members. It's pretty well built out right now. So we have our members platinum, gold, silver. There's a little bit of sizing that I need to do with here, but it's basically there. I'm excited, very excited about the resources section. So we have a couple call to action. We have the webinar replay for the digital transformation with Node.js webinar that we did with Forrester and Lowe's. Come to Node Interactive. And then what we're doing is packaging up various resources that we've been working on over the last year and a half and that we're working on now. So we have resources for Node.js developers and users called out at the top. Below that, we have our case studies, which we, of course, want to add to. And then the next piece, which we will be adding, will be the application showcase. So you'll recall that this is something that we've been talking about as a marketing committee. We will have a form where anybody who's developing applications using Node.js can submit that form. And what this will look like when we're done is something like this, right? So it's using this exact same plugin. We will sort by different categories, of course. So it won't be by hyperlink project. It will be by things like front end, API, back end, IoT, right? We can sort by geography. We can sort by, license, is it open source or proprietary? And then each application then will have its own tile. The nice part about this is you click on any of those, and it gives you this sort of mini case study, if you will. So that's what we're working on.
Is this limited to members?
No, the application showcase will be wide open. Is the idea anyway. I mean,
bragging, so you want to brag big numbers.
Yeah.
Not bragging, but showing.
So there are member-only assets that we want to create. So at Node Interactive this year, we are going to do member spotlight videos. So we are in the process of finalizing the agreement with the video producer. And so this is a way for members to talk about how integral they are to the success of Node.js and to developers and enterprises that are using the framework. And we will promote those very heavily throughout all of our channels. And as you know, we've got really great reach. I mean, almost 500 followers, 90,000 followers. So with an asset like a member spotlight video, we can really get a lot of views and visibility.
And we have a general need to drive membership. And so, having join on the homepage, I think would be really, yeah. We need to elevate it, right? It's like, hello, join.
We can absolutely do that.
And you
Speaking of driving traffic to the site, many moons ago when the foundation did not exist, I bought Node.js.foundation and would be happy to provide it as the TLD here. Do we have, or I guess FQDN, do we have a domain name that we're thinking about for this?
I mean, that was one of my specific questions earlier when I was talking about this, is I would like to come up with a much better domain name than what we're currently using as our little draft sandbox to build this site. So that's phenomenal. I'm sure
there's actually, we should have there's a bunch of stuff. Just so you know, Greg just got this site up and running so we could demo it and put a lot of, it's been scrambling to get it, but there's a lot of stuff that still needs to be done. Like there should be Node.js Foundation, should be the top, not just Node.js.
Correct. Yeah, and
some other things. There's
yeah.
a lot of other things, but
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the point is, yeah. I mean, you know, we will be improving this forever.
Absolutely.
The site is done. And there are a few things that I want to get in place before we launch, but I feel like we're awfully close. You know, I need to backfill some of our historical news announcements. But everything else is really, really close. I mean, community is really just, hey, check out our community site, Node.js.org. But we have a few kind of specific calls to action down there as well.
So can we go through those? Those are really important.
Yeah, on the community side, you mean? Yeah. And each of these links to their appropriate place. I don't know why that one's mousing over highlight, but I know why. I just will stylistic things like this thing to clean up.
End users, collaborators. End users, collaborators?
Oh.
Is that intentional?
No.
Okay.
No.
We might want to, sort of group the.
That's a good idea. Yeah, I can totally do that.
So, okay, so if I'm a developer who wants to figure out another gap, where do I go?
Yeah, I mean, you really want to go to Node.js.org. Is where you want to go.
so on the top we should have our primary. There's basically three kinds of people that I think that you're going to have a journey for. One is the developer, one is the end user, and one is the solution provider. Which I don't know. I mean, that's me thinking off the top of my head. I may be missing it, but I think that groups them into three logical buckets.
Yeah.
And there should be even if there is a one-pager that takes you to each one that says, this is who you are, this is why you would want to do this, take it down to that starts them down that journey.
Yeah, we can totally do that. In fact, we've done something very similar on Hyperledger. We recently re-architected the homepage down here, right? And we sort of split them up into two, corporate members and, participate in. But we can easily do a 3-column section like this that just directs people from the homepage to the appropriate section.
The other thing we need to make sure is in there is from the master deck that has the membership, why you would want to join. Right. All that content is pertinent, should be spelled out there along with the decks as resources under the join call to action. So here we've got, I've based this on the PDF. But we can. But I think that we need to do some salesmanship around why you would want to join, and we have some of that, and we talked about earlier some things that we're going to try and expand.
Like the benefits.
Yep, absolutely.
I mean, this is a good start. This is definitely.
And truthfully, I think that's one of the primary reasons. One of the key values, not the only key value, because I do think that members get value from the member spotlight videos in terms of their telling their story to the developer communities that they work with. But it's first person, like one of the very first questions is, so why did you join the Linux Foundation? And what do you get out of the Linux Foundation? And so more than us telling a potential vendor how they're going to get value, it's better to hear from existing members. So we'll, but in the meantime, we can absolutely use the presentation messaging that we already have, and can continue to do that for sure.
Yeah, I think mixing the two is very helpful. So the .org site isn't necessarily all that friendly for how I get started in finding someone to work with and what we get going. Yes, the project. Should we be doing something here to help people maybe? So we don't have a mentorship.
And could you speak up a little bit?
I'm sorry, I was saying we don't have a membership program or anything like that in the .org. It's not necessarily the friendliest, easiest way to figure out how to go get started as a contributor. Maybe there's something that we need to look at as a group around how to pair people up or how to get going, tips and tricks or something.
We have a lot of resources. It's just hard to find.
Yeah, like I said, it's just not very friendly, and since this is hopefully the easy place that we're driving people to, we can take and fix some of that here.
And that, I mean, it's a little bit tangential, but I know that the web working group is planning on a redesign of Node.js.org, and I think that they recognize that it's clunky and not very user-friendly, and that there's things they can do, but that's not to say that there aren't things that can help to do it.
Maybe we can help it along, I guess.
So I have a question. First, I want to say the website looks pretty cool. Really, really need this. And please don't be offended. But is it like part of our contract that we must put the Linux Foundation at the top of all the Linux Foundation provided websites? Of course, we got it too. I mean, it goes above Node.js.
So the difference here is that we are completely self-contained, incorporated under the Linux Foundation, whereas the other projects like Other Ledger are really the Linux Foundation sponsored.
No, you're right. And this is, I mean, I literally cloned website just so that I could get off to a running start. And I would like the answer to be no, it is not.
Okay. I noticed on our Node Interactive website too.
Well,
it's like I think it's thing there.
Because it's a service that we buy from the events group at the Linux Foundation. But
so we still have to promote the first, don't hear me wrong, I'm all for the Linux Foundation project, but
I think that the difference comes from they have turnkey services, some stuff that's a one-off.
So do we get like a disc? Is like it's more cost effective for us to use their stuff, but at like in an exchange for hey, we also kind of promote their stuff. Is that like a fair?
I mean, like I think that they and I honestly saw the other side of this. I think they over deliver a lot of stuff, and it's not because they're trying to promote it, but if the bottom of for this particular situation, it's probably a matter of do they already maintain one template, and if it's not a one-off to remove that, you can just rip it out and it stays maintained. Then yeah, otherwise it may be an additional cost. And I think that's why that he could get it up and running in clones. So we can ask, but that's exactly why it's that way.
No, I mean like on the Node.js work website with Linux Foundation in the footer. Totally
sure.
Put it down there.
I'm sure it's removable.
It's very easily removable.
It's removable. It's just a matter of if Craig's updating that template every time, does it have to be removed every time?
I have a tangentially related question in terms of like you just said right there. If I missed the name, who updates it? Does that have to be run through a certain group of folks at the Linux Foundation for all copy updates, or would this be something where I don't know, maybe I'm going to guess this is like WordPress or some sort of content management system, and then we would give folks that wanted to be responsible for the copy access to that to change copy. Like we have a strong internationalization effort on the Node.js site. I would love to see that get replicated here for the foundation, those sorts of things.
Yeah. No, I mean, there's total precedent for that. We just have to bear in mind that the more people we give access to, the more likely it is that things will get broken. So, and I'm the one that gets called when that happens. But I'm perfectly happy paying that price because I think we do want to decentralize content. We want to make this very much a user-generated content sort of experience, and I can get admin rights for anybody who wants it and can commit to being responsible about it.
Cool. That sounds great.
Yeah, well, that's not done yet.
This is a teaser. This is a
sorry. Sorry. I'm getting there. I've been, sort of on mute on every call going in and on the back end deleting all of the 450 news and announcements that have been added previously.
Well, I guess the thing that
it's not too exciting.
Certainly for this, but for this site, what's important is how do I find meetups, right? I mean, Node.js has this huge following both on Twitter, but we have tons of meetups going around the world right now.
Yeah.
And
so I do have that on the community page.
On the community.
Yeah. I mean, I can replicate it as well on events. But I have it right here. It takes you to Meetup where you can see the, global footprint of all meetups and get involved.
It's something that's so important to me. It's almost like I'd like to have it be a top line thing that people can find very quickly.
The meetups.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let me see what I can do.
Because it's that or education as well too.
Yep. And that's the other thing I forgot to mention. I'm sorry. Under resources, once certification is launched, we'll have a page dedicated to that.
Yeah. And when's certification going to launch?
Beta goes live on October 4th, I think. It's actually going to be discussed later. But I think October 4th.
Yep.
I think that we need to reevaluate just these top level menus. Like community is sort of could be a wasted thing because it's not such a nebulous thing. Resources is a nebulous thing. But I know that's the template.
No. Actually, I added this. We can make them whatever you want.
Yeah.
I guess what I don't want to do is I don't want to hold. I want to hold up launch for like catastrophic bugs, but not for like. I want to get 1.0 out and then do 1.1 and then do 1.2. And if you can live with this, or if you have like,
considerably we can do the header there and then that's hard to change.
No, that's easy to change.
So,
yeah.
And why don't we make one of the upcoming marketing meetings the working session for the website, if she was okay with that? Because I think that you're doing a good job of bringing in some core content, but there's some stuff that, like, I have strong feelings of, and I mean, you just got this up, so we haven't had a chance to give you any real feedback. So,
I mean, I've just gone through this internally as well too, and with some focus sessions of our own to see how to go and get the most out of it. So I've got definitely.
yeah.
Okay. No, that's great.
I know what people coming are looking for.
Can I make a quick follow-up question to what I had said before? I know that this system is used for other Linux Foundation collaborative projects. Are any of those sites localized or internationalized?
We do. Hyperledger and probably some other ones, but I mean, at least Hyperledger,
Awesome.
but only Chinese.
Cool. I mean, great. As long as the capability's there, like we can build on that. That's all I wanted to know. Thank you.
We use like Gather Content, I think, is the tool that we use to do it, and
I think some of my people who are doing.
Yeah, well, that's a great follow-up. I just, if the capability's there, that's all I think we as a group need to know right now, and then we can take it offline to a committee or a separate discussion.
Cool. Great. All right, so I give it back to you?
Yeah.
Very good, thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you, guys.
She can tell, I think it's something that we're all very excited about.
Oh, definitely.
So,
And thanks to Charlie, it's going to have a great domain.
Yeah, that is awesome. That's
It aligns with the JS Foundation.
that is huge.
Yeah, just email me. That's me. That's not GoDaddy. I'm happy to transfer it.
all right.
Okay, we'll do. Thanks.
All right, thanks, Greg. All right, next thing on the agenda is the 2018 Node events calendar. What we have done, we've done a number of things in the past, and I would contend that given the success and size of the project, we've never had that breakout event for Node, and I would think it's there. Unfortunately, it seems like we're always working behind the 8 ball for that. I would like to get the Node Interactive event next year to be bigger and and better and different in a lot of ways. One of the things is we want to keep growing the size of the audience, and part of the reason that we want to grow the size of the audience is because that brings in our users and more developers and sustainable project, and our events should be put on so that our ecosystem of users, developers, solution providers can all have a conversation. The thing that I would propose for 2018 is that we had a pretty specific track. It's someone who sounds like we're good. Okay. I think it's really important that we start working on that as soon as possible. One of the things that happened this year was we really didn't start talking about Node Interactive until March of this year when I came on, and people were out of their budget cycle. And then they had to scramble for money, and it makes it difficult to pull off the show. We also should consider who in the JavaScript ecosystem and other places in the ecosystem that we should interact with, maybe API space, whatever is appropriate, and partner with them so that Node is not just plumbing, but part of the stack that other people are working on. NPM, having them have their event, maybe partnered with us, could be an idea. I've not spoken to them, just that kind of event.
Well, the JS Foundation, all of their projects are dependent on.
Yeah, actually, talked about other events that we did in the mid-year, and what we did is the de facto event, but that's 12 months that we're not having a personal event where people can gather, especially our developers and our core users. Like the class opportunity with another event, maybe that event is JavaScript Interactive that has the Node and the JavaScript community, and that's just the spitballing. Those kinds of things are things that are now so that people can plan for them in their next budget year and send their people. And
so in addition to the Node JavaScript ecosystem, I'd really love to see us partner more with the Cloud Native and Cloud Foundry groups. That for vendors, is an area where folks are looking for the solution to go and buy their their whole cloud picture, and being there together is a great way to add value and identify Node.js as a key runtime in that ecosystem.
So I actually had spent some time with the events team, and part of the thing is it's a planning thing too. I had asked if maybe we could co-locate an event with Cloud Foundry Summit. This year we had a track there. Maybe we could do that again, but actually have our own event co-located with them or with CNCF, even if it was the day before, the day after, and then try and lead into where it makes sense. And there are some logistics challenges to make that happen at this point in time because they've signed up for their next year already. So if we want to do that, you almost have to plan 2 years ahead of time that you want to have space for 500 or 600 or 1,000 people coinciding with those things. But we're still going to look at how we can shoehorn into the space that they have, and that's on the other events.
I would say, given the popularity now of CNCF, that would be the biggest event that we could piggyback on.
Yeah.
And all of those folks deeply care about Node.js.
I agree 100%. So we will continue to, for 2000, really we have to think about 2019 and take what we can on 2018 because they're tight on space. We thought about doing a on CS or Cloud Foundry either a day before or day after, and I don't recall the reason why.
Well, the Cloud Foundry event where it's been held in the past has, as we were able to run a track.
Yeah,
it wasn't a big enough event space to really do more than track if you did it concurrent. But if you do a day after, a day before,
but they've already signed up for space, so you also have to make sure that space is available the day after or the day before. And that's part of the events team was pretty thorough in trying to figure out all sorts of opportunities for us to fit in. And if we wanted to do a real event next to theirs, we're pretty limited right now. But I still think that we should partner with other events, including those two events and others like Node Summit. Like right now, Node Summit and Node Conf EU both happen, but we don't have a formal relationship other than they're very gracious to us. I think that we should have a plan to be present in a formal capacity in those places so that we have the conversations and people aren't confused. As I talked to people that were at Node Summit and they didn't realize that Node Summit was not put on by Node Foundation. And I think if we're there saying in partnership, we can partner with them in a way that makes sense and have a presence and then leverage other people's efforts rather than us. We shouldn't be in the trade show business to the extent that it has value for us. And these people have geographical advantages that we should leverage rather than try and duplicate, in my opinion.
What I found at NodeConf EU was that folks in Europe were maybe a little further behind the curve in adopting and using, and that they were really looking for a good place to learn a lot more and maybe get an education, and they were much more one-on-one sort of oriented. So doing something there that we put on, especially tying to the education program, and certification things would probably very well received.
I would love to see us do something like Code and Learn at every one of the major events that we partner with, because that's the value that we could bring and explain what we're there to do and have a good part. And I know that they've all reached out and been very, very, very willing to work with us. So, originally, James and Tracy had volunteered to come up with a proposal of which events were important to us. I still think that they should work on that. We should probably get Miles and the new ComCom chair's opinions as well. But it costs time, it costs horsepower, and it costs money to send people there. So we have to make sure that we're getting a good return for our time.
We probably ought to put a deadline on this. What you're saying is like, we need to do this yesterday.
The Node event, Node 2000 Interactive 2018, the deadline should be Node Interactive 2017, so we can have this conversation. And that's what I have the event staff working towards on the proposal. It is really expensive to, especially in the places you want to do it, like Valley. So we're considering. They're coming up with a plan so that we can responsibly put on a show next year. Then as far as other events, the budgeting process, which will happen in the next few months, will be the function for that. The mid-year event, I had talked to the JS Foundation about it a little bit. And once again, it comes down to when you start out an event, and the Linux Foundation doesn't make money on a lot of their events, like until you build up, you lose money on those events. So you got to understand, you either limit your downside, or you invest in a future. And I think that it's unclear what the right investment in future events should be, other than more that brings in a broader set of ecosystem beyond those that are really in the know. I mean, there are so many people that are using Node and would participate and just are intimidated or don't know how. And having a end user and friendly event, I think is a big part of that. and also going back to just having a prestige around being a member of an individual member of the Node Foundation. I don't know how we get there right now, but I know that I think is being a card-carrying member and a card-carrying certified Node developer are two things that start solidifying this for the rest of the world. Anything else in the Node events? I just wanted to, I mean, it's a big topic, and I've been thinking about it and trying to get Node Interactive 2017 through the door while I'm trying to get some 2018. And honestly, to the point where I feel like I could get some space that would have some expansion capability. 1200 is not as large as I think it should be, but
a couple of thousand up here, right?
Yep. It's
500,000 Twitter followers to only have 11, 1200 person event when we have so many end users, millions of them. Just shooting small.
It is shooting small. I mean, I'm happy to shoot bigger, but I think without when you do a technology vendor neutral show versus a vendor led show, it's very hard to compare Node Interactive to a Java 1 or something else that would be comparative. But not to say you can't do it, but you got to be a little bit more creative because there's a different.
Sponsors may be willing to pay more and shoot bigger.
That
should have that discussion.
Should have.
The limiting factor on size today has been attendee interest, has it been content mismatch, has it been venue size?
I think it was attendee interest is outside of, I think awareness is actually the right word.
Okay.
So I think lots of people are aware of Node.js as a technology. What is unclear is that we don't have a conversation with these people. Like if you were at a software startup, you would have a very robust mailing list so far. As earlier this year, I think we started at like 1,000 people on our mailing list with over 8 million end users. Now we're up to probably 10 or something, but it's still small relatively speaking.
Not to mention, Twitter
I have
has 90,000 on Medium, right? So, I mean,
But you got to have a conversation with them that leads to come to our event. And so far, we have multiple conversations that are getting better than I think they were at the beginning of the year. But there is, and there is some things that are very basic, like what's the number one way that people would engage with you? Twitter's probably number 2. I would say coming to your website and understanding what your engagement paths are is number 1. Then you would typically subscribe to a newsletter, and you would start getting your information. You could call to action around that, and then they convert. And you would do Twitter and social campaigns as well. I mean, that's.
Depends on your audience, though. I mean, your traditional enterprise audience, yes, emailing.
And that's what we're.
But your Twitter.
The Twitter, we bring in the developers. What we need to bring in is, if you don't know to follow Node.js on Twitter, which is these people we're not hitting. I think they want to go and they want to read something.
Many of your enterprise developers became enterprise developers doing what they're doing because they didn't want to have big Twitter followings to go out and market themselves. They're very reserved.
Yeah.
And it becomes difficult for them to engage that way. Now, some of them may have accounts to follow, but more often than not, what I find is they don't.
I think they want to get a newsletter with valuable content. I think where newsletter has changed significantly from what it was to something that's getting better and better as far as for those people to get a little bit of an education around Node.js rather than a list of GitHub issues and JavaScript politics, which is fine, but it also talks about what people are doing, how you get engaged, more so than it did 2 months ago.
Another factor that I think is at play here is how there are so many JavaScript classes. There are so many Node classes. I mean, the JavaScript ecosystem, you don't need to hear it from you all as far as is very self-actuated. People are organized, they self-organize, they do, if they don't find an event that's doing what they want, they do it themselves. If there's no very, very few barriers to entry in events, it's a tough business. In this market, I think it's even tougher. And so what I think that means for us is we have to do an even better job of differentiating. What is it about Node Interactive that makes it special and different from all the other JavaScript and Node events out there? That's hard.
That's trying to be other nodes out there.
The number of collaborators is way higher than any other event. Your marginal propensity to actually meet people who are doing serious work on the project is much higher than any other event. Does anyone disagree with that?
Oh, yeah. Could you repeat that? There was sort of simultaneous conversation happening.
I'm sorry, I apologize. The odds that you're going to see someone and interact with someone who does serious work on the project is much higher at Node Interactive than any other Node event around. And to me, that's the reason to attend.
I didn't mean to imply that we can't differentiate, but I think we have to, agree that that's the differentiation and figure out how to message that and get that out and translate that into something that, I think that is a statement of truth. I guess from a marketing perspective, my next question then is, okay, how do I translate that into something that matters to the enterprise architect at, XYZ enterprise?
So you're going to be better at your job, right? If you get hit with something and you go actually make a connection with somebody who works on the project, and then you're blocked at work and you, I don't want to say complain, but you're like, man, I don't know, I'm stuck. I'm pulling my hair out on Twitter or Stack Overflow. You can mention that person, right? The connection is made, so you're going to be better at your job.
So, for its faults, OpenStack did a wonderful marketing job though too, right? And they were very, very good at marketing the events that they were doing in context of the ability to interact with the developers. So they divorced themselves of that now because they've had to, it's too big. But a large part of the selling point initially on was that you had the chance as an end user to come in and interact with developers. You also had end user events that allowed you to interact with other end users and share stories. They set up contests for the best stories, and that whole team got a free ride to the conference. Throughout the conference, they made sure they highlighted users and other folks on the party. And then they gave the developers the chance to go do some serious work as well through, planned events of getting together as well as conference events to just go do serious work. And that mix was a nice mix, and people came and found it effective. Eventually, the developers complained that they were getting folks into their sessions that didn't know enough, who shouldn't be there when they were trying to plan out the next release. But as long as we make sure that we figure out how to fence that, I think it goes.
So I think the overwhelming message is we need to go bigger. We need to get not just bigger, but incorporate the right content to bring the right people in and design the event a little better. And I think that we will, in the short term, have to just nail down a venue, or we won't be able to get a venue. And then we really need to think, right, before we get right up to next interactive, we should talk to the other players that we could partner with and come up with a strategy to get a bigger event that has the right ecosystem players there.
If we aren't able to land the big collaborative event in 2018, I would say that we absolutely have to begin projecting out in 2019. And
that's what we're starting at. Exactly what we're saying. All right. So Node.js certification update. Tracy, can you give us an update on that, please?
Yeah, sure. So, yeah, our early interest signups are open and have been increasing over 1,400. Granted, that is not paying signups. Those are folks who are waiting and chomping at the bit to want to sign up. So that'll be a different number once the registration is open. That beta registration will be October 4th announcement, or opening at Node Interactive. So we've gone through some alpha testing. We're still working. And just for an update on that, because I know a lot of folks have been asking about the date. Our deadline and shifted quite a bit due to the challenges of actually implementing the items themselves, because it turns out when you are trying to test for knowledge in Node and it is purely in code, executing that in a way that allows for people to not get too creative with how they are coding the answers is another challenge. So we've got some really incredible contributors who have been helping round out those items. But that's where we got our latest pushback on date.
All right. Any questions on certification? Next thing, we had our Code and Learn in Shanghai. I think that anything to add there, Tracy? I think there are 41 PRs filed during the Code and Learn. Yeah,
that was partnered with JSConf China. It moves around to a couple different cities in China, depending, each year it is in a different city. Or a rotating series. But we had some really awesome mentors there who helped with translation, because that's certainly a challenge with folks mentoring there. And we had 41 PRs filed, so that was really exciting. And it sounded like people were really appreciative for our presence there. And the next one, I believe, is on to Node Interactive. Or actually, even before then, we've got NodeConf.eu. I apologize. So that's a really exciting opportunity. There's a lot of core contributors who also attend there who can help.
I think NodeConf.eu is November.
No, it's November. Apologies. Sorry. So Node Interactive is the next one.
Great. Yeah. All right. Zibby, are you still on the line? Yes, she's not. Overall, we have had very good traction on our social, but particularly our Medium blog, our collection, which is publications that we pull in from contributors into the collection of that's published, I believe, weekly. The follower numbers are growing very consistently on those two. We also have our Twitter at 469,000 followers and growing, which that little tiny graph there, I apologize, that's not nearly as readable as it was on my big computer, but we have more followers than Java does, which by a reasonable amount.
Just FYI, Zibby is still there, but...
Hey. Can you guys hear me now? Can everyone hear me now?
Can hear you. Yeah, go ahead, Zibby.
Great. Okay, awesome. So a few things that I wanted to kind of just bring up, especially since this is recorded and we'll be issuing it out when this is done. For those that don't know about Node.js collection publication, it is something that we're working on with the community. As you can see, and as Mark was mentioning, we have a ton of views of this per month. In the last month, we actually had 10 folks submit articles and 10 articles be published to the publication. A lot of this was just because we retweaked our kind of approval of this, and we have 2 technical reviewers. But we're getting a lot of good content per month. A lot of this is really, really technical content, and the genesis of it was really that the community wanted more technical content on our social feeds. So because of the Node.js publication, there's a lot of good technical content on this, and then we promote it on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, and all that stuff. So if anyone on this call has a member or someone on their team that's writing something that's, you know, interesting around Node, whether it's anything from kind of like a how-to to an IoT app or anything like that that's using Node, feel free to reach out to me or go on the Node.js collection publication about and send an email to the Node.js collection team. As for Twitter, we're continuing to see a consistent increase of followers for about 1,000 followers per month. And I know that this is really, really slow, but one request from the board was just a comparison of how we're faring with other languages out there. So if you look at this, essentially Node.js has a lot of followers on Twitter. The second language that has the most followers on Twitter is Java, but Node.js is beating them by about 100,000 followers. So in terms of just overall voice and on Twitter, we have the most reach compared to others. The other thing that we're really trying to measure is engagement. Are our posts being impactful to users? Are they retweeting, liking, mentioning us? If you compare us to Java, Java actually has more engagement than we do. The Java handle also pushes about 4 times more content than Node.js does per week. But their engagement, even though it's higher than ours just on a numbers basis, is actually lower in terms of the amount they tweet out versus the amount that we do. So we also have the highest engagement when you're just looking at a per ratio basis. YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, they're continuing to grow slowly month per month. Facebook and LinkedIn had a little bit lower engagements this month. I'm going to do a more detailed kind of analysis of why the engagements were lower on Facebook and LinkedIn, looking at July, August, September to try to improve our voice as well as what we push out on those channels for previous months. But yeah, all in all, social is really, really strong for us. Again, I see a lot of folks liking kind of the 10 JavaScript concepts you might want to know. We got a lot of interaction on the beta testing or the ability to be a beta tester for certification, which I think is a really, really good sign for us, as well as Tierney and Tracy pulled together how to get started with using JavaScript and joining the community repo, and that got a lot of play on social for us during the month of August. I know I talked through that really quickly. Are there any questions on social or things that I should cover again because I talked too quickly?
I have something that I've seen recently on LinkedIn is you can use hashtags there. The Node.js hashtag is completely almost unused. So it'd be nice to have some representation from us.
Will do.
So, and what's the plan now around the foundation blog, right? We kind of need a series of them coming out, right? Obviously, if we get the right talk, we get people to view. So, how are we trying to stage the next ones?
In terms of the Node.js Foundation Medium blog?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the reason why we actually created the Node.js Foundation Medium blog was twofold. So the first one was we wanted to use it as a way to announce and produce our content online because we were having challenges with getting access to the website through GitHub. So that was one of the reasons that we did that. The other reason is that Medium is connected with Twitter. So all of the followers that follow us on Twitter and have access to Medium were immediately connected with them. So those were the reasons why we started the Medium blog post. And I still think it's smart to kind of cross-pollinate our announcements and content that we're generating on both the new website that we'll have as well as Medium, just because you're tapping to and or cross-tapping different audiences. As for kind of new strategy of what we want to do going forward, I don't think that there's necessarily anything broken in the wheel, so I want to continue what we're doing with that. But if you feel like that's going to be a problem, happy to talk through how we might address it. But I don't really think.
My question wasn't anything about how it all works or any of that. I'm very familiar with all that part of it. It was more along the lines of how are we planning great content that shows up, whether it's on our website when we're ready with that, or in Medium, or frankly cross-pollinated across both, because I think that's the best way to go about doing it. So how are we getting to a plan? Is the marketing committee functioning, and are we out getting people to submit suggestions, or how's that working?
So right now, I think what happens is we're opportunistic because we're sort of strapped on all the things that we're doing. So we're collecting, by doing the collection, that's the stopgap. Where we need to be is having a regular heartbeat. And I think that that's sort of, in the marketing committee, we need to have a set of, it's a little free form right now. And I think maybe we should work with Shubra to say, listen, these are the things that we need to make sure happen. Because right now it's not so much there was a marketing plan which hit on some of this stuff, but it's not complete. It was basically boxed by the resources we had, so we need to.
But even some of the user feedback that we've gotten on things that are hard or easy or whatever, we should be touching those topics, right? And if you need people to help write blogs and get them together and ghostwrite and other things, we could farm that out, right? We get much more of it out there.
Maybe that's the good thing for Dave. Dave's starting to come strong with asking what he could do. Like the issue is like a human resources issue to have not just the ability to pull that off, but the domain knowledge. And so Dave has been gracious. He's like, I don't do anything. Maybe he can help us, because I think it's not something that's addressed currently in our marketing. Like we're scrambling to promote events and do some other things that are part of the everyday operations, but not long term.
And Dave is willing to do anything. So
yeah, he's been great. But I think that maybe as we look at our marketing plan, because it was just a 90-day marketing plan, wasn't it? When was it?
And it was.
Or was it through the end of the year?
It was through the end of the year, but the marketing plan really tried to lay out the ongoing programs that we execute against that were designed to support the overall objectives of the foundation. And
the case study program is one of the parts. But
yes, the case study program, the Node, the annual survey, these programs, these content programs that we just outlined, the application showcase.
But at a higher level, all these things are good and tactical, but maybe we should say like when I run marketing at a startup, I would have a twice-a-year marketing strategic plan and say, these are the things we need to do. We need to attract users. We need to have programs that address all that stuff so that when you do your website, which it's sort of all funneled in, and we're evolving. So I'm like saying that you didn't do it as much as maybe what our next step after interactive should be is to reset, because really we've been very tactical and doing a lot of work and not thinking holistically about the program as much as ever we do, but then we get down in the weeds, including myself. So
yeah, absolutely.
And I think that maybe I'll take more of a role in that Shubra has a full-time job with his stuff that we can be there to support him, but maybe more so. And plus I have that background. So that was the last thing on the agenda other than Q&A. Were there any questions that we needed to address?
Unfortunately, our audio was not so good. We had quite a few watchers initially, and then they tapered off and gave up.
All right.
I think the stragglers are mostly probably me and Tracy.
All right.
So yeah, this entire session was recorded and it's going to get uploaded to YouTube because we were still having technical issues. That's not going to happen for next meeting because the LFIT team is going to help schedule a stream that we can use.
All right. There was one question that, if we have statistics about Node.js version usage.
We do in the annual survey. Now they're dated as of January of last year, but Greg did we decide whether we were going to do the version usage or not?
We scaled that whole section back significantly.
Because it gives out a date so quickly every day.
And it was also really designed to answer a question that we don't have. Like when we did the very first survey in Q4 2015, Q1 2016, we had just launched an LCS schedule, and people were very worried that developers didn't know what version they should be using, that the terminology was wrong, that we hadn't communicated it well, and so we had a very elaborate section of the survey designed to help us determine A, which version people were using, B, if they knew which version they were supposed to be using, and C, if it was easy for them to upgrade or not. And we ran that in 2016 and in 2017. And the answer was basically, yeah, I know what version I'm supposed to be on. If they weren't on the version that we thought they should be on, it was because the platform that they were using didn't support it yet, or they had some other dependency. And it was really easy like when they upgraded. So it was you're just like, you know what, we don't really need to ask 15 questions with all kinds of crazy skip logic. So we took it out. What I can tell you,
we do have data.
We have lots of data on which version they're using.
So yeah. Just again, it's a topic for a short blog that, you know, if people are interested.
Yeah.
It's something to consider here that you know, you're not only signaling to end users, the adoption curve of you know, versions is really important to drive attention to our module authors, so that they know, oh, now I need to really pay attention to the important modules that you know, I'm working on new versions going into LTS. You know, I need to make sure that, you know, everything that I'm doing is up to date and runs well.
I mean, and the other thing that this speaks to for me is, I mean, and Civi does an amazing job of intersecting with the technical community and with many people in the technical community and getting lots of great input from them. I think, you know, in the past, Michael had always been sort of the primary go-to when we wanted to say, okay, Michael, what are the key technical things that we need to be broadcasting, right? Really making a lot of noise about. And I don't want to put words in your mouth, Civi, but my feeling is if we had a, you know, technical counterpart, somebody that we could partner with and say, okay, over the next however many weeks or months, you know, let's line up a technical content track, right, that will find to the really key things that are happening that matter to module developers. We don't know what matters to module.
Hey guys, sorry to interrupt. Folks are dropping off. I'm not sure we're at quorum at this point. I've seen.
I don't think we have any votes per se.
Okay.
So I think we're okay there.
I mean, we're just answering the question from the audience.
From the audience, yeah. One of the things that I would like to do, since we have a new chair, vice chair, secretary, is do some kind of blog. And talk a little bit about the things that the board's working on.
Yeah. Civi, can you work on scheduling that, and I can sit in and help give color to on top of the interviews with Scott, Brian, and Todd?
Yeah, no problem.
Okay. Yeah, because let's do something. We did something around CNCF. We should do something here, and maybe we need to have a regular update that comes out. Some fashion.
Basically, we really need to do a marketing offsite or a marketing workshop that is more than a meeting to go forward and cover some of this stuff, because we all sort of just have been thinking about this of how we get the work done, and we probably ought to reset, but I think we probably do that after Node Interactive next week, and that sets the stage for our programs, because we'll have to figure out how
it ties a little bit.
Or we
start the discussion at Node Interactive.
or maybe we can actually get those people together in person at Node Interactive, because Schubert should be there, and a lot of those people will be there in Zibby, and why don't we try and schedule for
like overlap with Collab Summit, maybe?
I have a long-standing commitment on that Friday afternoon, but we could do it Thursday.
Okay, well, we can take that offline.
Yeah.
So why don't we make a motion to close the public
Yeah,
meeting?
can we get the
Motion
motion?
to close, or I guess we're closed. So
Yeah.
I don't think we have to make.
I think we